Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. This is your Major League Baseball show for Thursday, September 24th, 2020. Nice little Thursday card. Yeah, we do got some NFL football tonight, but we still have some money to be made in Major League Baseball. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, and we are the team to bring you that Major League Baseball knowledge. It's a Thursday after yesterday. After coming off a nice victory, I'm watching late in the game. I can't get that ninth inning magic out of the Cardinals, and maybe we should have just went, or should have said I should have just went with the overall over in that game. It was apparent right away. The Royals were the better team, but sometimes, Jason, in those environments and spots, like, nice, I'm not going to get that good of pitching during the back end. Let me stretch a couple runs out. They eventually got to 3, couldn't get to the 4.5, and they did have some chances in that game, but we're here for another day, Jason. Your night last night on Wednesday, outside of your Mets, how did it go?
Yeah, so another 1-1 day. It's frustrating because, a lot of the leans I talked about yesterday, they all hit, and people were telling me about it. But of course, the one of the games I took, in the Cubs, their offense couldn't get the job done versus Trevor Williams. They had one home run in the first inning,
yeah,
and then nothing after that. That seems to be the trend with the Cubs, not just in Wrigley Field, but it looks like anywhere. So that's how the day went. Another 1-1 day in the MLB. So it's getting frustrating, but we just got to keep going, keep rolling, and we'll get those winners.
Yes, we will get those winners. And always keep in mind, hey, 1-1, you live to fight another day. It's much better than going 0-3 and trying to dig out and come uphill on that. So we'll take them as we go, and we will certainly march on today. Thank you for chiming in. All right, 75 people, 1 minute into the show already watching. 68,800 people have subscribed to our channel right here on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. When Jason and I go live talking Major League Baseball, you will get it delivered to your inbox. Gabriel, Matt, Ced Williams, Chaz, Steven, Ron, Jose, Robert, Troy, everybody in the chat box early on a Thursday. We do thank you for that. Again, do have some NFL content coming later today, and also obviously the NFL game tonight, but we do have some money to make, or so we think, in Major League Baseball. Real quick, Jason, 3 minutes to this start, 9:59, 9:60, Chicago and Pittsburgh, Mills and Kuehl on the mound. And again, I can't figure it out, and maybe it's just Pittsburgh here. You send these average pitchers out, and you look at the lineup that the Cubs put out, and you're saying, you know what? They should be able to hit. So I'm looking last night, and you're right. I get an alert right away. Rizzo, solo blast first inning. Nice little start here. On their way, because I was sitting myself on a personal team total over 4.5, and I'm watching as the game goes on. I was like, is this real life right now? And the fact of the matter is, imagine if you're on the over for the game itself, Jason. 3 home runs in the first inning. You're like, oh my God, it's flying over. What was the final score? 2-1. Good Lord. But anyway, this game here, Mills versus Kuehl. Any ideas here? Over under 9, side sitting about 165.
I mean, the Pirates have now won 2 straight games. I don't know. I mean, Alec Mills is the better pitcher. Versus Pirates, though, he allowed 4 runs on 7 hits in 5 innings pitched, just 2 strikeouts in that game. Chad Cole, this is the guy with the high walk rate, high Sierra. Before his start versus the Cardinals in his last start, he allowed 9 runs to the Royals in 2.1 innings pitched. Does have a 3.20 ERA at home in 4 starts, so he's pitched much better at home. The Cubs at minus 180, a little high. I think the Cubs will win. It is high, though. That's all I got to tell you there.
I'm telling you, I don't understand the Cubs. And maybe it's this new era of, we talk about the Astros banging trash cans. Now they can't do it. They're struggling. Javi Baez is one of the guys that's really screaming the loudest, saying, I don't have my video team with me during the game to break down every single pitch of where it's coming from. He's been terrible this year. And even in that, I think there was a bases loaded situation. I want to say, Jason, like fifth or 6th inning, he drills one to center field. And I'm like, oh, look at this. Might have a shot. And he falls at the warning track. And I'm like, that was the shot to get back in it. But neither here nor there. We are venting on the Cubs because it doesn't make sense against this Pirates pitching staff. And the same pitchers seem to be running out there. Trevor Williams, Cool, Brault. They're the same guy molded into one for me, and the Chicago Cubs can't hit him. But hey, anyway, we'll keep moving on. Got some afternoon baseball also here, 9:51, 9:52. Chichi Gonzalez on the mound today versus Gaussman. 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on San Francisco. Opens up at 200. Sanford, the Giants are sitting at minus 230 today versus another Major League Baseball team, over under at 9s across the board. Taking a look at this game, Gaussman obviously is the much better pitcher. What you want to weigh yourself is, can San Francisco and those bats come to play against Colorado? I think they should in this. Do I want to lean on an over the game total, which I do probably think gets there, but I like the San Francisco team total side a little bit better in this one. Which way are you leaning? Are you going to back Chichi Gonzalez on the mound on the road here?
No, we're gonna fade him. We're on an official play with the Giants in the
There you
first
go.
five minus .5. I got it at minus 150, so I understand if a lot of you don't want to tail. I get it, understand it, but you can take -1 in the first five at around minus 115. So if you see that, I don't think it's a bad idea. I definitely think that they can win the first 5 innings by multiple runs. You get the push if they win by one, so not terrible, but I'd rather minus .5 in the first 5 innings at minus 150. I also agree with the Giants over on their team total of 4.5. Even if you take it at 5, for or 5.5 at plus money, nothing wrong with it at all. Chi has allowed, a high walk rate, very high Sierra.
Yeah.
Allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched versus the Giants this season. When 5 innings pitched last start versus the Dodgers, that was his longest start of the season. Still allowed 3 earned runs in that game on 4 hits. One start on the road this season, allowed 4 earned runs in .1 innings pitched. So he actually walked the first 3 batters and then left the game after getting 1 out. And then the relief pitcher came in and got all those runs to score. So I like, Kevin Gausman, high swing strike rate, hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in his last 4 starts this season. One of those starts was a 23-5 win over the Rockies in Colorado. So the Giants score when he's on the mound. Does have a 4.50 ERA at home, but a opponent batting average on the season of just 213. Think he gets the job done here versus the Rockies. So again, Giants in the first 5 minus .5. It's at minus 150. So I understand if you don't want to take it with me, I get it. But I feel strongly on this one, so we're going with it. Giants minus .5 first 5. It's an official play for me.
Yep, no Nolan Arenado in the lineup today for Colorado. You take a look at San Francisco. They're still waiting for Yastrzemski to get back in the lineup, taking it a little bit slow with that calf injury. But I got to tell you, when you take a look at Kevin Gausman on the year, it's kind of eye-popping because this Giants team really flies under the radar being out west at this point. Average 210. Batting average against him. And then you take a look at his ERA, 376, FIP is 343, XFIP even lower, 321, then a Sierra number of 335. So I do agree with where we're going here. You're basically saying, all right, this light lineup for the Colorado Rockies, if they scratch out 2 runs against Gausman, that's a really good effort out of them. And you should be able to get at least 3 runs over 5 innings from Chichi Rodriguez. So I do like where your head's at in this game. And I do agree with it because I do like the San Francisco Giants team total over the 5 for the full game as well. New York Mets, Washington Nationals, Peterson and Corbin, 2 lefties on the mound. 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on Washington because people just see Peterson on the mound versus Corbin. I want to fade it, but not really so fast here. Opened up roughly around a pick. I'm now sitting at minus 120s, minus 125 at some New Jersey outlets. Over-under opens up at 8.5, still sitting at 8.5. And I got to tell you, nice outing last time for Peterson, but when you line up these, pitching matchups against each other, you would think that the Mets would be able to hit Corbin. I mean, it's not having a lights-out year, but more of the effort I want to get into is Peterson, the lefty on the mound, versus the batting alignment for the Washington Nationals, who do really well against left-handed pitchers. If we take a look at the lineup, Trey Turner, 333 ISO, Soto, 426, Cabrera, 388, Gomes, 273, Harrison, 242, and Holt, 250. That's your first 6 batters there, all elevated ISO numbers. We'll see if he can have continue his nice efforts with Peterson, but I trust the Washington Nationals lineup over the New York Mets today, and I'll go with a Nationals team total here as a lean. What are you thinking in this game between you and Mets? Are we still in it for the Mets? Are we still hanging in there, I guess, right?
Yeah. I'm not really sure. We just lost. So we're done. Yeah, we're done. Just close the book, get a new owner, and we'll be real happy. But Peterson's looking pretty good in his last start. 2 straight solid performances from the rookie. 3 earned runs in his last 11 innings pitched with 12 strikeouts. So he's also 3-0 at home. Oh, no, they're on the road. The Mets are on the road. So forget that stat. But Corbin, on the other hand, doesn't have a high swing strike rate, but he's also allowed multiple runs in his last 7 starts. Allowed 14 hits and 7 runs to the Marlins on Saturday. Hasn't looked really good. The Nationals have also lost their last 7 games with Corbin on the mound. That's pathetic. Like when you have Patrick Corbin on that, that's really as bad as losing all those games with DeGrom. Yep. And I'm not saying that Corbin's pitched well. He hasn't, but I mean, you lost your last 7 games with your second best pitcher on the mound. That's really bad, and that's why the Nationals are in the bottom of the standings. So this game's a pick 'em for a reason. I think the Mets have the edge here at minus 108, but I agree with the over in this game. Over 9, it seems like the play in this one. Just get 4-4. get that push, and should get the job done. So, if I had to make a play in this game, I think over would be the play.
Durko Gaming in the chat box is continually tracking my quotes. We'll make a book one day, split the proceeds, and we'll call it something has to do with SBR, so we'll have some fun with that. Jose Farfan, the breakdowns are the key. Donnie and Jason are gold. Thank you guys for tuning in and spending your lunch with us, breaking down a little bit of Major League Baseball. How about this game? Now, if I blindfolded you, Jason, and I said, you know what? Or not blindfolded you. So we just had your ears ready. And I said, I whispered from across the room, there was a team between the Yankees and the Blue Jays that scored 14 runs. Which team was it? You're like, oh my God. Yankees, man, they hammer. Yankees got 1. Jays got 14 yesterday. Let's see what happens today. Montgomery, the lefty, versus Ryu, the lefty. Over-under opens up. How about this? Opens at 10.5. Goes down to 9.5. That's a big line swing here, specifically when we're dealing with the New York Yankees across the board. -112s, -115s. Roughly a pick 'em at some spots here. Ryu, obviously the better pitcher. What type of Yankees, I guess, effort are you going to get today? Really looking forward to the playoffs now that they can't actually win the division overall. Ryu is the better pitcher, as I said. This might be one of these games where I'm looking towards the Toronto team total going up against Montgomery. Comfortable hitting at home, not a great pitcher on the mound. Maybe for the Yankees, you're not really stretching that bullpen out to make sure these guys get innings rather than giving them a nice refreshing start heading into the playoffs next week. I lean towards the Toronto team total over in this one, but I would not be surprised if the Yankees get a couple runs off Ryu, and obviously Toronto could do some damage against the Yankees, Montgomery, and also that bullpen. I like the over, and now it's below 10. I like that over 9.5 here.
I agree. Over 9.5, definitely a lean for me. I think the Blue Jays even have the edge here in a pick-em game at home. Ryu, he's allowed just 3 earned runs in his last 12 innings pitched. When he faced the Yankees, though, he did allow 5 runs to the Yankees in just 5 innings. The Bronx Bombers are the Bronx Bombers for a reason. He's allowed 5 home runs this season at home with a 286 OBA. But Montgomery hasn't looked great either, right? So he has a low walk rate, that's good. High swing strike rate, that's good. Low hard contact, that's good. But the Jays knocked him around in 3.1 innings pitched in his last start against them. Just 2 runs on 6 hits, just 1 strikeout. Montgomery has an 8.25 ERA on the road this season with a 315 opponent batting average in 3 starts on the road. So Montgomery hasn't looked good on the road. So your look at the Blue Jays on the team total over looks very good there. Yeah. But I think the Yankees can definitely hit as well. So I agree with the over 9.5. If you're getting it below 10, I think this game easily goes double digits. I think either side, we've seen the Blue Jays hot offensively. We've seen the Yankees really hot offensively. Now it looks like both teams can kind of come together and be hot offensively. Even if one team gets it and the other team doesn't, you're probably going to get double digits from just one of these teams. I'm not sure which team it will be, but you'll probably just get it from at least one of these teams because that's how it's been throughout every Blue Jays-Yankees game throughout the entire season. So over 9.5 is definitely a great play here.
By the way, a lot of people in the chat box here, Jason, loving the fresh cut out here. And usually when you get a fresh cut, you feel like $1 million and you're able to level the boom in some Major League Baseball plays, which we expect tonight. Now, if we go 3-0 today, 2-0, whatever you go, we might have to get you a shape up before every single show here moving forward. So we'll see what takes place. But a lot of people in the chat box loving it out here. Let's keep going. 965, 966. Last night made the mistake I don't want to say in this game, but with Kansas City, clearly the better play, put up the most runs. Should have looked at the overall total since you had 2 pitchers I thought would get hit, but I just wanted to isolate and go against Danny Duffy. He was good. I don't know if he was good or just that St. Louis lineup. Some teams just continually nip me when I think this is a night that you should be able to take them and be able to back them, and they just aren't able to do the job. But you always find yourself, Jason, in these games, even though you only have 1 run through 6, they always seem to come up with bases loaded, need 1 base hit to sort of turn the tide. If they can't get it, you know where that's going the rest of the way. But let's take a look tonight. Detroit and Kansas City. Fulmer, not a good pitcher. Bubic, average pitcher at best. Opens up at 140. Heavy movement here. We're down the 170s as a favorite for the Kansas City Royals. Total opened up at 9.5. Sits 9.5 across the board. I like Detroit against left-handed pitching. So the lineup isn't very good, but it's always when I talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. If they're going against a lefty, I'm going to look into maybe an opinion to try to backtrack and get their side. Same thing with Detroit, but also I do think that Kansas City's bats, you add Jorge Soler back in that lineup, and all of a sudden they're starting to move around, get some extra base hits, put up a lot of runs on the board. You get some nice weather out there in Kansas City tonight. I like the over 9.5 in that game, and I also like the Kansas City Royals team total over as well. might as well make it a trifecta, because if I think the game's going over, Detroit's got to do something, and it's not really a high over-under for them. 3.5, 4 runs, I believe, from what they're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead with the trifecta this one. I think both teams get their totals, which means this game goes over as well.
Michael Fulmer coming off a weird performance, like he was good in 3 innings. I don't expect that again, right? We talk about Fulmer. He still has an opponent batting average of 355. Righties are hitting 489. Okay, righties are hitting Fulmer with a 489 average. That's ridiculous. You look at that Royals lineup, though. They have some impressive righties. You have Perez. You have Soler. You have a ton of righties that can do damage against Fulmer early in this game to knock him out early as well. Fulmer also has an 11.45 road ERA with a 412 opponent batting average. That's, again, ridiculous for a guy that started 9 games this season. Of course, in 9 games, he's only went 25.1 innings pitched, so he's not going deep in any game, obviously, and Daniel Norris usually gets that piggyback role with Fulmer. But the reality is Fulmer has an 8.17 ERA, a 6.73 FIP, hasn't been good all season long, walking ton of batters, allowing home runs, plenty, and the Royals coming off of a really good offensive performance in the last game that they just played yesterday. And then you look at Bubic, on the other hand, high walks, but he's been average this season, like not too bad. Yeah. In his last 4 starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs or less in pitch at least 5 innings. Lefties are still hitting 320 against him, but it's righties that are hitting for power. The Tigers have more righties, more power. So Bubic will probably allow a couple home runs maybe. But the reality is, I do think this game goes over 9.5. But you're going to get most of that work from the Royals offense compared to the Tigers offense. So if you're trying to figure out what you want to do with this game, I would probably look at the Royals over in their team total more than over 9.5. And I also agree with the Royals minus 0.5 in the first 5.
Yeah.
Definitely think the Royals can get ahead early in this game against Fulmer. And like I said, Bubic, he's looked pretty good in his last 4 starts. A lot of 2 earned runs or less. Can the Royals score 3 runs or more in the first 5? Yeah, I think they can. That's why I would be all over the Royals in this game. But there's just a couple things that, really, there's just some things I just don't agree with looking at the metrics. Staying away from this game, there's other games I'd rather look at, but I'm probably, like yesterday, I said the Royals-Cardinals would go over. It definitely did. I said Royals-Tigers will go over. Probably will go over in this game. So, yeah.
No, I think you're on the right wavelength. I do. I think it's the right way to look at this game. Sometimes you get too bad. You're still going to have 2 bad bullpens in this game, and I think you have 2 good matchups from a from a batting perspective from both sides, and I'll lean on that. So you get some good weather. We're not talking about low 60s or high 50s. You're getting some of that nice spring midsummer air out there in Kansas City. We'll see if that ball travels. It certainly did last night for the Kansas City Royals. Let's take a look at 971, 972. But before we do that, top of the first inning, the Cubs, Jason, got no runs. Congratulations. I didn't bet them today. I hope to get no runs the rest of the day. But 971, 972. Oakland and the Dodgers today. Fires versus Buehler on the mound. No surprise, 8 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the hometown Dodgers. Opened up at $185. Now we're seeing that price over $2, $215, to some as high as $220 at some of these New Jersey outlets. Opened up as a total of 9, sitting at 9s across the board. Fires with a really good start, and a really good start in Colorado last time out. But obviously we know that Colorado lineup much, much different than what we anticipate is going to get from that Dodgers lineup tonight. So I'm going to think Fires resorts back to being old Mike Fires. I don't mean getting blown away, but 5 innings, like 3 earned runs. It's hard to keep that lineup for the Dodgers down, but also always want to check, since this game is later at night, it's okay. Hey, you got some stuff you like early in the day. Wait on this Dodgers lineup. If you get that A-plus lineup, I'm going to be in on the Los Angeles Dodgers team total over in this game. It's 9s across the board. Buehler hasn't been that great this year, so one would think that Oakland might be able to touch him up as well. I lean towards the over 9, but I just think if I get a full go lineup going against Mike Fires, high XFIP, high ERA, even though, again, as I said, he did have a nice pitching outing last time against the Rockies, I think they can get to their team total tonight. What are you looking at here between the A's and the Dodgers, Jason?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the chat know that I hate Mike Fires. Whenever I see him, it's always, I like the other team more. This is a guy that doesn't get any strikeouts, right? 5.67 strikeouts per 9 innings. Yep. His walks are 2.5, so it's not too bad. Home runs aren't too bad. Batting average balls in play is not too bad. But this is the guy that allows balls in play. And when you have balls in play, anything can happen. Bad fielding, things down hits down the line,
Yeah,
in the
runners
gap.
score. Yeah, sure.
So at the end of the day, you're getting balls in play, and when you have the Dodgers offense putting balls in play, it's a whole other ball game with the Dodgers. So with Walker Buehler on the mound, he's looked a lot better as of late. Struggled to start the season, but now his walks are a little bit lower. Home runs still pretty high at 1.93 per 9 innings, but we're coming in here knowing Walker Buehler, what he did last season, and we expect him to get back on track as this season comes to an end and the playoffs come and he'll need to perform. But that said, Dodgers minus 1.5 seems like a great play. Over 9 seems like a great play too. I think Dodgers score some runs in this one.
How about this game? 9:55, 9:56. Two teams that are headed already to the playoffs. That's going to be Keuchel and Plesac between the White Sox and the Indians. 7.5 is a total across the board, which is low, obviously, in today's day and age. But also taking a look at the line itself. Plesac opens up as a minus 115 favorite. He's now in that mid 130s range. I do agree with that, but these are one of these games where I break it down and look at it, but there's not really much on the line for either team, and maybe it's just keeping the pitcher sharp, saying, hey, get out there, get 5 or 6 innings. I don't care if you have a no-hitter going. I'm going to pull you out because we're worried about the playoffs at this time. So some of these times I do just lean, if I were to play it, which I'm not, taking the plus money in this scenario because I don't know where the motivation is coming from to say, you know what, I really like this game. If they're both going to play, hey, our A-plus starting 9, we're going to play it just as a regular baseball game, that's fine. But I don't have enough information on that to say I'm going to sit back and make a really concerted effort to know which team it means more for. So I'll abstain from this game, lean towards taking the plus money, but outside of that, not a great feel with both of these teams headed to the playoffs. What are you thinking here between these two teams?
Keuchel, he's looked really good, right? He's done a really great job, but he's only finishing 5 innings. So he's not going deeper than that.
Yeah.
So Plesac, on the other hand, he's gone 7 innings or more in his last 3 starts. He's allowed no runs versus the White Sox in 2 starts, and that's 14 innings pitched. So, I mean, under 8 seems like a great play in this game. But I think there's just so much uncertainty in this game, what could happen. But I think both pitchers pitch a great game. I think under 8 is a great play in this one as well. But if I had to choose a team to win this game, I think Indians have a little bit of an edge here. Plesac has great numbers versus the White Sox this season. But then again, you're relying on the Indians to score runs. And that hasn't happened, much this season. And somehow they're still in the playoffs after not scoring any runs. That just shows you how great their pitching has been. So under 8 seems like the play in this one. Also like the Indians minus 136 on the money line in the first 5 as well, but not an official play for me.
And here's an interesting one we're going to talk about here. 961, 962, Miami and Atlanta. We do know, obviously, Atlanta won the division in the playoffs, but the Marlins hanging on by a string right now in second place. And quite frankly, I'm surprised they're still in second place, but that's through a fault of the Phillies not be able to handle their business against a team that's out of the playoff race throwing junk pitching at them. So now the Philadelphia Phillies are going to go play we talked about the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend, who've already clinched a playoff spot, looking to set up their rotation. And then you get a look at what, still again today, which the Phillies are off, but you got to play Atlanta again, and they're going to throw one of the young aces out there who's done very well this season, Ian Anderson versus Lopez. 2 pitchers right in the same ballpark. If we open it up, though, minus 175 it opens, minus 165 some New Jersey outlets, Jason, still in that high 170s, 177 at DraftKings and also at Rivers. But if we take a look at the over-under, it's dropping, opened up at 9.5. I now see some 8.5s across the board, and I do agree with that. The Marlins have the much tougher slate because even when we look at this weekend with the Marlins coming up, they're going to tangle with the Yankees, and we joke all season long, hey, maybe the Yankees won't throw a top-line pitcher out there, but they have no choice but to put a dominant lineup in, so how deep they are. So the Marlins certainly on the uphill climb. If the Marlins make it in, that's a kudos to their organization because the Phillies having basically 7 easy games to end the season and they can't get into the playoffs, that'll be a surprise to see. But getting back to this game overall, it's hard to take Atlanta with unders. I understand that, but we're taking a look at this game overall. If you're going to give me that 9 number, 10 is going to take to beat me. 2 good pitchers in this game. I'll lean towards the under in this spot, but not a great feel for it because, as I said, again, if I'm looking to take an over, these are 2 pitchers on the mound. I probably don't just want to fade off the bat because they do have some good numbers. The Marlins need to win, but that doesn't mean you just pick up the chalk and you say, hey, we're going to get a W today because they're not favored in this game. They're heavy underdogs. I lean towards Atlanta first 5 innings in this one, trying to get a couple good at-bats in. But again, it's one of those where Atlanta doesn't really need it. Miami does. Maybe you take a flyer on the dog, but again, they're outmanned today again.
Do you guys remember that 29-9 game for the Braves versus the Marlins?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Pablo Lopez started that game for the Braves, against the Braves with the Marlins, and he was absolutely smoked and kind of come out of the game. And then obviously, the bullpen didn't do much either with Yamamoto in that game, whatever the case was. But Lopez started that game and didn't look good in that game. Since then, he's looked a lot better. 3 earned runs in 12.1 innings pitched after that brutal start versus the Braves. Does that mean the Braves are going to be able to hit? Yeah, I think the Braves will be able to hit Lopez in this game. They've already seen him. They've already hit him really well. Have really great numbers versus him, of course, from that one game. And then you have Ian Anderson on the other hand. He has high walks, does get very high K rate, but also getting high ground ball rate, limiting hard contact. So Anderson definitely the better pitcher in this game. 11 walks in his last 3 starts is kind of concerning though. And if the Marlins can put some guys on base, I do think they'll be able to score some runs as well. So I like the over in this game for sure.
Stephen Dunn says Atlanta due for a stinker. Britt Ware says bad weather in Atlanta. Alex wouldn't touch the total. Wind blowing in as well. So we have some of those out there. And again, I would lean towards the under just with those 2 pitchers and also talk about some of these guys that you don't hear every day, Jason. I know we like to look at those FIP and XFIP numbers. Look at Lopez on the season, 312. Ian Anderson, 284 FIP. And then you take it over to the XFIP, which is what anticipated should happen, 357 and 352. So 2 pitchers putting up some pretty good years. We'll see how it plays out in that game tonight. Again, as a Phillies fan, do I want them to make the playoffs? Yeah, because it's an extra couple of games. Do I think they'll do anything in the playoffs? No, I don't. But, hey, the table is there. If Miami can just slip up one more time, we're looking at a virtual tie heading into the last 3 games. One team's playing the Rays, one team's playing the Yankees, and we see what happens. 963, 964, Baltimore and Boston, Cobb versus Perez. And just to go to show you, our eyes are trained to look for certain things that we like in games. The one thing I've never been trained to do in Major League Baseball, Jason, is pick an underdog and have confidence in it. You know what, Baltimore, I'll throw and I look at the game the hell was I even thinking? Every time I think I have a dog, I'm just going to flip it over to the favorite on that side. But Cobb versus Perez today, 7 out of every 10 tickets here on Boston. Boston heavy favorite, opened up around that 140 range offshore at SBRodds.com. We now sit in that 150s range with a total of 9.5. It's hard to back Martin Perez because even though you can look at that 3.88 ERA and say, boy, that's good, jumps up to a 4.79 FIP, a 5.18 xFIP, and a 5.40 Sierra. So one would think that this game might be live for another total. That's the way I'll lean in this one, but not a great understanding of who's actually going to be in the lineups, and I'll wait for that to come out. But slight lean towards the over for me. Any plays on this game for you, Jason?
Well, Perez, he's looked pretty good recently. 7 earned runs in his last 22.2 innings pitched, allowed just 1 earned run versus the Orioles last time out. He went 7 innings and pitched in that game against them. At the end of the day, though, Cobb gets a solid amount of grounders, does allow some hard contact. The Orioles have lost the last 3 games that Cobb has pitched. Multiple runs in the last 6 starts for Cobb, too. So, yeah, we've been taking the underdog like the Orioles in the last couple of starts, but this one I think the Red Sox are favored for good reason. So if I had to choose, I think the Red Sox over in the team total, Red Sox to win the game and money line. But I don't know if the Orioles will score any runs in this game. So that's why I would stick to just the over on the Red Sox team total.
Moving on here, and we'll go to the Battle of Texas, 967, 968. That's Javier and Lynn going to be on the mound. Astros versus the Rangers. 9 out of every 10 tickets lining up on Houston. Line opens up as a favorite, cheap favorite, minus 118. Hasn't moved that much. So you're figuring 9 out of 10 tickets coming in on Houston. The line really not moving. It's kind of interesting to look at. 7.5 as a total. We're now seeing 8s across the board. When we take a look at Lance Lynn on the season, 2.53 ERA, 3.81 FIP, 4.27 xFIP, Sierra around 4. Javier, 3.33 ERA, so 2 good ERA guys, 4.99 FIP, so that jumps up a little bit. In times past, I would say, you know what, I'm going to be leaning on an over in this game. Both of these teams should hit, but Texas puts out continuously a single A lineup every night. There's a reason why that 8 is there. I guess maybe a saving grace if you're looking to go over the total is if they actually open the roof in Texas, which they really don't do all that much. So I lean on the under 8. I see Houston. I see an 8 to take 9 to beat me. I'm going to lean on the under right off the bat here, Jason.
Yeah, I have an official play on this one. It's under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. We're going under 4.5. Christian Javier, this is a guy, he struggles to get ground balls, but he does limit hard contact. So when it's not ground balls, it's basically just pop-ups, fly balls, plays that fielders are able to make. And that's why his batting average of balls in play is just .184. So the batting average of balls in play is .184. So he's not getting ground balls. He's getting 30% of ground balls, but still has a BABIP of .184, which means he's getting fly balls, pop-ups, and kind of easy plays for fielders to make. On the other hand, you have Lynn. He's getting a ton of swinging strikes. He's allowed 11 earned runs in his last 27 innings pitched, but just 5 earned runs in his last 21. He did struggle versus Houston earlier in the season on the road. He allowed 7 innings pitched. He allowed 6 earned runs in that game against the Astros in 6 innings pitched. But his home ERA is a 1.88, and he has an OBA of .161 on the at home this season. So I think both these teams will obviously lay an egg offensively. I like both these pitchers and their matchups. So we're going to roll with the under 4.5 in the first 5 at -120. Haven't done one of these in quite some time. I don't really know why I got away from it because I was doing so well in these first 5s under. So, yeah, we're back.
How about this? Talking about your back, this is probably the most anticipated game on the card for Jason today because it's a Waverns reunion. We got Milwaukee and St. Louis. Burns will be on the mound versus Kim from KBO fame. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on Milwaukee. Opens up as a -117, quickly moves to a -145. 7.5s across the board. And if you don't know anything about Corbin Burns, I'm going to read a couple stats to you here. ERA 177, FIP 1.79, xFIP 2.90, and a Sierra of 3.08. Oh yeah, batting average against him from batters 158 and a K rate of 38% in this game. It's kind of interesting because you get from the opposite side with Kim. He's a really low ERA guy too, 1.59, but his peripherals are a little bit higher, 3.98 FIP, 4.53 xFIP, and a Sierra of close to 5. So you figure something would give. Last time out, Kim did give up 4 runs. But I got to tell you, if you looked at the card today and you see everybody out there, most people wouldn't pick out Corbin Burns as probably the best overall pitcher on the slate, but he's been dominant this year. I look at that number, and 7.5, it's so low. I actually lean towards the under and maybe an under first 5, which probably is going to be sitting at that 3.5, 4 range. I just don't see much runs tonight. Both of these lineups can be dominated by these pitchers, and I think that's going to happen tonight.
Yep, another official play for me. It is under 8 though, so
yes,
under 8 at -121. I would even take it up to like -140. I think you guys realize, even like Donnie's confident in an under, and when Donnie's confident in unders, that's good news there. But look, you're getting under 8, and they would need 9 to beat you at the under 8. So forget 7.5, but if you can get that under 8, they need 9 to beat you. We're talking about Corbin Burns, who has a 1.77 ERA, a 1.78 FIP. We're talking about Kwang Hyun Kim, a 1.59 ERA, does have a 3.97 FIP, but this is a guy that pitches to contact, and he gets soft contact. Guys are able to make plays on fielders are able to make plays on his balls. .202 batting average of balls in play, so it's not like electric stuff coming off the bat. Of course, the Pirates did score 4 runs against him in the last game, but before that, he was putting up zeros left and right, 0-0-0s. Kim also went 7 innings pitched versus the Brewers earlier in the season, allowed 3 hits, struck out 6 along with 3 walks earlier in the season. Does have a home ERA of .69 in 2 starts. So he pitches to contact, like I said. If you go to look at Burns, faced the Cardinals once earlier this season in September as well. He went just 4.2 innings pitched. The pitch count got a little bit high, but he allowed just 1 earned run on 5 hits. Did have 10 strikeouts in that game. So if Burns is able to limit the pitch count early in this game, we'd like for him to go his usual 5-6 innings pitched. Kim, obviously, he's able to get a lot of contact on pitches early. Doesn't get a high pitch count because he's not trying to get those strikeouts, just trying to get those quick outs. Doesn't walk too many batters. Burns does walk a little bit more, but at the end of the day, the Cardinals' offense has not looked too good. Obviously, last night, Donnie will tell you. But, I mean, the reality is I think this game definitely goes under, but I really highly, highly recommend just buying up to that 8, just because then they have to get 9 to beat you. And really, I don't really see either of these teams getting close to that 9 range, that 9 number. So under 8 is an official play for me at -121, but I play up to like -140. I really would.
Oh, and I can agree because you took a look at those. Hey, Burns versus Kim, they should be able to light that up. No, two pretty good pitchers that are going to be on the mound in this game. And again, the key part of that is when you get two good pitchers on the mound, or at least two numbered pitchers that are good on the mound, going against these lineups. Milwaukee doesn't scare you. St. Louis's lineup doesn't scare you here. So yes, if you have 8, it's going to take 9 to beat you out of these two teams. So both of these pitchers conceivably would have to give up 3 runs apiece over the first 5 innings to have a legitimate shot at that. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I do agree with that. Half hour. Look, 34 minutes into the show. Card is complete today. 275 people watching live with us, 52 thumbs up. We do appreciate it. If you missed the show, if you want extra information on Major League Baseball, right here, check out that link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB. A lot of fun stuff here in the chat. Got afternoon baseball on today, baseball the rest of the day, the NFL tonight. So a lot of good things going on here at sportsbookreview.com. But it's time for our best bets and bankers. After a clunker yesterday, I'm going to rebound today. And I'm going to go against your New York Mets here today, Jason. 953, 954. Peterson and Corbin on the mound. I do like the over 8.5 in this game, but I like a number that I got on William Hill, Jason. Team total for the Nationals at 4, -124. I love the matchup here. Anytime you can get the Washington Nationals against a left-handed pitcher and not a super dominant left-handed pitcher, I'm going to go with that. Trey Turner, Soto, Cabrera, Gomes, Harrison, Holt, and also Taylor. Very, very good numbers on the season versus left-handed pitching. High weighted on base rate, low K rate for that lineup. I think they can scratch out at least 4 runs to get you the push. 5 it'll take to get the victory. I think they can do that today. I'm going to go with the Washington Nationals team total over 4. Jason, best bets and bankers. Let's get after it, buddy. What do we got?
So we got an early game here with the Rockies and Giants. Giants first 5 -0.5 at -150. So I understand if you don't want to tell me, I understand, I get it. But that is an early play that if you want to have some fun early, you can watch that and hopefully get the first win of the day off the board. So Giants first 5 -0.5 at -150. It's one of the official plays. Then tonight we have the Astros versus Rangers under 4.5 in the first 5 at -120. Lance Lynn and Christian Javier going against each other. Both have solid numbers throughout the entire season. Obviously, Lynn did struggle versus the Astros earlier in the season. Now he's at home where he's pitched a lot better, and the Astros offense really doesn't play well. But they're a totally different team than last year in terms of their offense. So I'm not too worried, especially when they're on the road. Edwin's done really well at home. And like I said, Javier's done a great job throughout the entire season, especially against Texas earlier in the season in 6.2 innings pitched, just allowing 1 run. Lastly, the banker and the official play for me is the Brewers versus Cardinals under 8 at -121. Again, I play this up to -140 and buy it. I'd much rather you get the 8 than the 7.5 because then you're forcing the Cardinals and Brewers to get 9. I don't think that's possible in this game. So again, under 8 -121 for me. It's an official play. It's the banker play for the Brewers versus Cardinals, the night game.
Let's get some runs. Well, that'll do it today for our Thursday show right here for Major League Baseball. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys for tuning in to the chat box. Tomorrow is a Friday. This will be our last show, not when we're going away, but regular season show. Some awesome, awesome stuff coming up next week for Major League Baseball in the playoffs. So it ratchets up the intensity. We got to sharpen those pencils and really get after it. But you guys, hopefully we'll have a nice weekend as we set you free. Tomorrow, we'll be back again on Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time to break down the huge Major League Baseball card on Friday. So thanks again for tuning in. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. We're sportsbookreview.com. And this was your Major League Baseball show for Thursday. Good luck, guys.